Hey everyone, and welcome to 1.21 Gigawatts. I am Peter, that is Matt, and we talk about movies on this show. And this week we are talking about Tomb Raider, the reboot, of course, based on the video games, more based on the recent version of the games that started in 2013. We've got a mix of opinions here. I'm someone who's played that game a few times, actually. I've beaten that a few times on different platforms.
I'm a person that doesn't know what video games are.
Yeah, you don't play video games at all.
Nope.
So, and I've seen the first of the two old movies, and I played some of the old ones, but they were kind of clunky, and I never finished any of those. But I've beaten the first one of this new series multiple times, and I've gotten very close to the end of the second one. But that's just some context for sort of where we're both coming at this from. I'm coming from as someone who's played the game. Matt's coming from someone who's not played the game. We'll start spoiler free, as we always do, and we'll give you a warning in the middle before we jump into spoilers. But yeah, so this is obviously a very different. Obviously, the first movie, Angelina Jolie, it was very much we're playing up the whole almost cartoon. Not it's cartoonish, right? Definitely more pulpy.
Over the top.
Over the top, yeah. Whereas this is just a little bit greater. Lara's a bit more of a real character. Again, that's taken from the new version of the game. And of course, if you don't know the premise of Tomb Raider, it's changed a little bit with the new interpretation with the new game and now this movie that's based on it. But here she is the daughter of a very rich man, played by Dominic West, who you might know from The Wire, who I feel much more comfortable when he's got his American accent. I feel very he feels very theatre when he's got his British accent. It's very, he's always. I don't know. I expect him.
I'll just tell you this: before recording, I was like, "Oh, that's a guy from The Wire." I didn't even realize it till right now. So I thought it was a completely different person with his British.
Yeah. So we got McNulty from The Wire, and we have Shane from The Shield, because Walton Goggins is the villain in this movie.
Wade Crowder from Justified.
Sure.
Too.
Yeah. But I've seen The Shield, so I'm referencing that.
Yeah.
So Lara is the daughter of him. He's obsessed with going after this potential tomb that's got a curse in it, and he leaves and he seemingly dies, and Lara's left, and we find out that she is unwilling to actually accept her inheritance because she's not willing to accept that her father's dead, and she's kind of struggling for money, but she ends up finding all of this research and finding out where he might have went, and she wants to go and find out what happened to him. So she takes a boat, she goes halfway around the world, she finds this hidden island that's not on any of the maps, and bad guys are there, action ensues, and there's a lot of stuff from there. So that's kind of the spoiler-free kind of synopsis of it.
Yeah.
So yeah, she's the Tomb Raider, as the title would suggest.
So I don't remember the Angelina Jolie versions. I know I've seen them, and I might own them because cheap DVDs.
But because the original games in the Angelina Jolie movie, it was basically she was just already established that she liked to globetrot and go find artifacts. Whereas here it's more how she becomes Tomb Raider.
And I know it's in the name Tomb Raider, right?
And I shouldn't say that. I said that as if her name is Tomb Raider, as if she's a superhero. Yeah. She is Tomb Raider. She's not. That's not what they call her. But
so when they are uncovering a tomb and not like a secret temple and stuff, I was like, oh, that's right. It's in the name of the movie. So it's just the things that you get away from, because if I remember the Angelina Jolie movies, and I don't really, she wasn't going through many tombs. It was Indiana Jones esque.
I remember there being a tomb, but I remember it revolving around some sort of like pyramid thing that was going to destroy the world, and
very MacGuffin heavy. Whereas this one, there's not. I mean, the tomb is the MacGuffin. That's why they're going forward on the island. I just remember the second one was called Cradle of Life, and Gerard Butler was in it.
I never saw the second one.
You're best off. You and Tim might want to do that one, just because it's so bad. It could be considered a horror movie.
That feels like a trap. I'm not agreeing to anything. So I mean, I guess okay. So we've the premise. We're still spoiler free, of course. But I guess I'll ask the question, Matt. Did you enjoy Tomb Raider?
I did. It scratched that adventure movie itch that I love so much. Despite all of its flaws, its movie is full of them. But I had a really good time, and I was invested in the ongoings of the island.
Cool. It's funny because I went into this not knowing how to feel, because obviously video game adaptations notoriously suck. Right?
Yeah.
The arguably the best one is still Mortal Kombat. It's been 20 years, and that's probably still technically the best one.
I'm going through them, and it's got to be... Are you going to consider Ready Player One a video game movie?
No, because that's not based on a game.
Okay.
It's like Wreck-It Ralph. There's game elements, but it's not based on a game.
Okay. That's fair.
It's not an adaptation. Whereas, I mean... Sure, Ready Player One's an adaptation, but just not an adaptation of a game.
Yeah, I would say it's very... I'm almost through the book, and it's very game-centric. That's why I was thinking, would this be a video game movie? But you're right, like Wreck-It Ralph. Yeah. It's a game that it's a movie that features video games.
Yeah, it's about games, but it's not based on a game.
Yeah, okay. That's fair. I'm trying to think. Resident Evil, you're not a fan of, right?
Oh, I mean, it's better than the sequels, but it still sucks.
Yeah, it's not... movie studios haven't been kind to video game adaptations.
As an adaptation, it definitely sucks. As a movie, it's kind of mediocre. As an adaptation, it's absolutely atrocious. I mean, some people stick up for the first Silent Hill. I think the opening 20-30 minutes of that's pretty decent, and then it kind of goes off the rails for me. I didn't really like it. I'm proud to say I've not seen any of the Uwe Boll ones yet, although I feel like I'm going to get roped into it at some point for some fun reviews.
That's what? Blood Rain? Is that a video game?
Yeah. He's got tons of them. Blood Rain, House of the Dead, Postal 2, Blood Rain 2, Alone in the Dark's the other big one that they did. A bunch of bad stuff. So I went in here, and the critical consensus going in was very 50-50. I think it was like 50% on Rotten Tomatoes when I went to see it. Very split down the middle, and I wasn't sure where I was going to fall. And it's funny because I like the game a lot, but I wouldn't necessarily say, because I kept seeing, it's pretty faithful to the game, and I'm like, well, that's okay, that's cool and all, but I don't necessarily need the plot of this movie to be faithful to the game, because the plot is not really what I liked about the game. I mean, it's fine, it's serviceable, it does the job.
Yeah, you like the gameplay. And
it's the sneaking around with the bow and arrow, it's the shooting people in the face, it's the jumping off things as it's falling down, it's all that stuff. That's what I like about the game. So I was really curious about how I was going to feel going into this. And coming out of it, I'm in a really weird place where I have a lot of positive things I like about it that I want to praise, and then I have some big criticisms that I think kind of hold it back and ultimately land it on kind of a it's okay territory in the middle somewhere. Some of my complaints are spoiler filled, and some of them aren't. What I will praise about it is that there are some moments that capture kind of what the game felt like.
It felt like that in the trailer, where there were these moments that looked like they're straight out of a cutscene.
Yeah, there's some stuff with a sort of crash plane that's like right out of the game, but that's like a very specific scene. What impressed me more is when she actually gets the bow and arrow, and there's a lot of stealth in the game where you'll be like sneaking around with the bow and arrow, and you'll be trying to take out people quietly. There's a one-shot scene in this where she's like stealthing around like the enemy camp, and she's got the bow and arrow, and I'm like, oh man, this is starting to actually feel like the game. Like it feels like that because it's all one shot. Because obviously it's a video game, so that's all one shot. Because you're always behind her shoulder in the game, so it kind of felt it had that kind of vibe to it. Unfortunately, though, it's a little bit too short, and I do kind of want to criticize the fact that, despite the fact that they do a lot of things from the game, like at one point there's the pickaxe, which is a big thing in the game. You use that a lot. There's solving puzzles in tombs to like get around is a big thing in the game. That happens in the movie. But all of these things only happen once, and it kind of feels like we're doing it to make sure we've done it without it really. Because here's how I would do it, right? If I wanted to, like, because obviously you can't do all the things the same amount of times you do them in the game, because the game lasts about 10 hours and you do everything about 150 times. Right. But what I would do if I was making the call to, so there's two key things I'd do to improve this movie. One's a big spoiler plot thing that I'll talk about later. But the one thing I would do to improve it is I would have everything like that come back. Like, so she has a stealth bit with the bow and arrow, she has a bit with the pickaxe, she has a bit with she's solving puzzles. I would have all of the things she's learned throughout the movie come back at the end again. And so when she has to get out at the end, she has to like do everything she's learned, and it would be like, because part of the whole thing is she's learning to survive, she's learning to be stronger. So I like the idea that by the end of the movie she uses everything again, and I feel like seeing everything be used twice in some way, not the exact same of course because it'd be repetitive.
I hear what you're saying. Even though I have no connections to the game, I could tell, like the from my time playing video games and even seeing cutscenes from stuff, you get that vibe, like from that stealth scene you're talking about, where it just feels like it's of that, which is cool. And that would have been cool because there were some things where you're just like it felt like it was there just so you can go, oh, that was like from the game,
Yeah, tick the
versus
box.
not being there for a
Yeah.
story reason.
Because I think that's how I had to tie it into story, because the whole thing's about her growing stronger and learning to survive. So I feel like
Yeah.
have her be forced into all these positions throughout the film where she has to learn all these things, and then have the big finale, have her utilize all those skills to win. Basically, is what I'm
Yeah.
saying.
And with the puzzles though, I mean, that's part of the genre of these, Indiana
Oh,
Jones
absolutely,
pulp.
yeah.
So that one, I mean, I don't want to see over and over again. I like that scene that we got
Oh, sure.
with, you know,
The other big thing I can say in spoiler free that I would change about it, again, this is just from an adaptation perspective. This doesn't necessarily make it a weak movie. This is just a purely adaptation thing. But I would have had her be on her own more. It felt a bit weird to
Yeah.
me. She was almost always with a group of people, because
Yeah.
in the game you're on your own as Lara 90% of the time.
Yeah. And not that I felt like I got a different movie from the trailer, because it's pretty spot on, delivers. But I did figure a lot of that would be her, getting away from the bad guys, trapped on this island
Yeah.
while trying to figure out the mystery of the tomb. And it does that for a couple minutes, and then she's back in,
Yeah,
you know.
I mean that's probably just in terms of the plot. Like, other than one big spoiler thing, that's my biggest problem, is that it kind of feels like after we get a one little bit where she's on her own, it feels like it's the game. All of a sudden, it kind of like very quickly ends that, and it's like, okay, we're going into the tomb with a group of people, and it's like, okay, right, okay, right. So, but obviously, I'm being kind of, I'm open with my critiques, my spoiler free critiques. What I will say, what I like spoiler free though, because I do, there's things that I really like. I like Vikander as Lara. I like her a lot.
Me too.
I think she's great in the role.
She's very likable in that sense where you're like, oh, I could totally see her. When the movie started, and I'm used to her like already having the money and whatnot, right? From the games. So I'm kind of like, wait, why is she broke? And so I like her whole headstrong, no, I'm doing this to prove a point,
Yeah, it's
kind of thing.
because it becomes a character thing. She could be
Yeah.
rich. She could be filthy rich right now, and she's choosing not to be.
Yeah, she's putting the work in,
and I
like that in the character.
And I actually quite like most, like, for me, all my problems start once we get to the island. All the stuff before the island, because this is all stuff that's not in the game. The game starts. I mean, some of it's in kind of flashback, because they actually have at one point, like, she watches like a little tape on this old video camera.
Oh,
That video camera's in the game, and
okay.
that's actually how we see most of the stuff on the boat. Is that she's at like the campfires and she looks at it, and you get like cutscenes of the flashbacks.
So the
of
game
boat.
starts, she's shipwrecked.
It basically starts with her. I mean, we get a little bit in the boat. The shipwreck happens, and it's like, go, right, game starts.
Oh, okay. See, I figured because there's that scene that takes place in Hong Kong with the chase, and to me that felt very much like a video game, and I was like, oh, I could see how this would play out in the game.
No, I think I like that scene. I think what that was neatly doing is it was showing how just how agile and athletic she was. Like this is setting up that she can pull off all the things she's going to be doing once she gets on the island. This is setting up that she can do that. And obviously that she'll stick up for herself, and she won't just let the muggers take her bag. She'll run after them. And
well, she's a very developed character. She doesn't do things just because, and I like that. When she starts going through the puzzles and whatnot in the tomb, I never felt like nothing was unearned. Like all this stuff is. She's good with puzzles. We see that early on. And,
I would critique it a little bit because it's set up that she's good at the puzzles. I would have liked it to be something a bit more like that we could actually kind of follow along with, because it's not, because she's like playing with this puzzle box and it's like, I have no idea what she's doing right now.
Quick. Yeah.
It's very quick, whereas I feel like maybe something where the audience could almost participate in the solving a little bit would have been nice, but it's a minor quibble. But no, all the stuff before the island, I actually, because none of that's in the games, right? And I actually really liked that. I really liked that. We see her struggle. I like the whole fox race thing. When she's a courier. She does the whole big. She's basically that movie with Joseph Gordon-Levitt was in.
Premium Rush.
Yeah, which is a fun action movie, by the way. If you've not seen it, that's worth checking out.
Yeah, she's going through and she has the paint, and they get to follow her. And if she can escape them for a set amount of time. By the time the paint runs out,
the other bikers we're talking about, the other cyclists.
Yeah, the other cyclists, and so she's going around the streets of London and leading them on a chase, and you get to see her wits about her. And again, just like the scene in Hong Kong, it sets up that she can handle herself.
Yeah, I think all that stuff I thought was pretty. I mean, it wasn't like amazing, like groundbreaking movie stuff,
it's fun.
But it was all solid, and it was anchored by two things: pretty good direction. I'll talk about the director in a bit, but mainly Vikander is Lara. I like her quite a bit, and I think she kind of anchors the movie. Once it gets to the island, that's where it starts to feel like it rushes through some things. There's a giant spoiler thing I can't talk about yet that I hated, that I absolutely despised.
I always, when it comes to the runtime of movies, I'm always for like the shorter, get me in, get me out. This one I could have had an extra half hour and I would have been okay with.
I feel like another half hour of Lara on her own before we got to the final chunk would have been much appreciated.
Yeah, and she could have found stuff on the island that lead, like you were saying, with the puzzles. That, it's that experience of her on the island escaping these guys.
My big thing would have been that I think she should have been into the tomb on her own without the bad guys and have them kind of chase after her, like, behind after the fact. Like, so she's on her own figuring things out. But, again, I'm kind of...
I want to talk about that in the spoilers. I don't need too much away.
Yeah, I'm critiquing parts of it because, I think that's the most frustrating part about the movie, though, is that I've got a few key things. There's like 3 things, maybe, that if you just change these 3 things, this would be the first genuinely good video game adaptation. But as it is, it's kind of murky in this middle ground, because, like, there's things I really like, but then there's just these other things that kind of hold it back and don't make it feel like the parts of the game, and then there's just... And to be fair, the big spoiler thing that I'll get to is a change from the game. I don't dislike it because it's a change. I just dislike it because I think it's bad.
From a storytelling.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I want to make that
and that's
clear.
Like this. After we got out of this, I asked my wife, "Can I get a PlayStation 4? Because I need to play this game now. Like I need more. Like if it's this faithful, because then I pulled up the wiki for the game and I was like, oh man, this is an exact not exact, but the same plot line.
It starts. I mean, obviously, all the stuff before she gets to the island is not in the game, but the whole idea that she's trying to finish her father's work, she's on the boat. Where it differs in the game, she has a group of friends that come with her, and they actually get stranded as well. She's kind of separate for most of the game, but that's actually one of the other complaints I had. Is at the start of the movie, it introduces her best friend, played by what's her face from Killjoys, who's quite a good actress. Where are we? Oh, they've changed the order of this. That's really annoying.
Hannah John came in. Sophie.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, so they introduced Sophie, right, who I think was in the game, and because part of the game is you actually end up having to save all your friends because they're all kind of in danger, and I guess they kind of replaced that in a way with something else, but we'll get to that later. But I actually thought it was weird because when they introduced her at the start, I assumed that she was going to end up tagging along, and she'd be on the island with her, and she'd have to save her at some point. Because they introduced her at the start of the movie, she's very likeable, they have a good sort of repertoire between them, and then you never see her again. She's out of the movie completely. And I think it was kind of lacking as just another person or two in the supporting cast that we cared about. I think that would have been a benefit to the film.
I can understand that, but I also get why they didn't. And, because if they rushed through that part on the island, you're dragging extra people there. You don't have anything for them to do.
I mean, yeah, it goes hand in hand. Don't rush through the island stuff and then have someone else we care about who, she'll ultimately be saving at some point. But it was weird to me to have someone who's a pretty good actress in this really, really, best friend role, but it ends up just being like a 1-2 scene thing that's then gone. Maybe they're setting her up for more for potential sequels. Although, given what it's making at the weekend, I'm not necessarily.
That makes me sad. Yeah. This is the type of popcorn thing that I love to go see at the theater.
I mean, I think it's a bit of, maybe it's just never going to do that well anyway. I think that combined with the fact that Black Panther's still just stomping through the theater.
It is. The theater I went to had 2 Black Panther showings. It had one in IMAX still, and then one at the regular, and which is great. Like, I'm not trying to take away from Black Panther, but our theater was kind of dead, and we went in the middle of a Saturday.
Yeah.
So, that said, this is the type of thing that I love that I'm going to see no matter what. So, and not everybody's like that.
Because here's the thing: as much as I've got a lot of criticisms, and I'm saying that I'm kind of on a, because the thing is like I said before we got to the island, I was getting really optimistic. I was like, oh man, if they nail the rest of this, I might really love this, and it didn't quite do it. Even though there's stuff on the island I do like, but. So even though I'm quite murky on it overall, I actually would like a sequel. I would actually like to see them try and pull off her as a badass the entire time. I want to kind of see that movie.
So what's the plot of the second game, then, that they might pull?
Well, I can't really talk because it sets up at the end of the movie, so it's full
Okay.
spoiler territory.
Okay. Actually, never mind then.
So
I
if we
didn't
get to
figure
spoilers,
that.
we'll talk about
Okay.
we'll talk about
Cool.
that, which I guess we're about to get to because we've kind of went through.
Let's break that
Uh,
seal into that too.
before we get to spoilers, let me talk about the director a little bit.
Oh, there you go.
So the direction's pretty strong. It's from Aurora Uthaug, who
That's a name.
well, yeah, I mean, he's I think he's Swedish, maybe Norwegian. But he actually watched a film he did from Sweden called The Wave a couple of years ago. It's a disaster movie about it's actually based on a real place where if there's ever an avalanche on this specific mountain, because of where this town is and where this creek of water comes in, it would devastate this little small sort of tourist town. And the movie's about that actually happening. It's a fun movie. It's a bit tropey, but it's a really good directed, solid. And what's nice about it is it's such a unique setting, and it's a really pretty country, so there's a lot of really nice visuals. He also did a horror movie called Cold Prey a while ago, which I've not seen yet. It's on my to-do list at some point to finally see that. But so I was like, oh, I didn't know it was him that was directing this, even though I was familiar with his other movie. So I think he's pretty good. I think all my faults with this movie are actually the script. It's nothing to do with his direction of it. So, it generally looks pretty good when it's doing stuff. So,
I thought his direction, the way he deals with tension, throughout, I was wrapped in, like the scene on the plane, which I'm sure we'll talk about. That had me on edge of the seat.
Seeing the plane, the stealth stuff we mentioned, really good moments, I think, from the direction point of view. So let's do spoilers in this. So full spoilers for Tomb Raider. So the big thing I don't like.
Yeah, get there. Let's get this off the plate.
So she finds out her dad's research, and it's like, okay, so he was looking to this curse that would kill this priestess who could kill everyone she touched, and it was this big thing, and whoever opens this tomb might endanger the entire planet. Some really bad people want this, and it's like, oh, okay, right. So she's gonna have to find out what happened to him, and she doesn't burn his research like he asked her to in the video, and. Well, after the whole crash happened, she's on the island and she's kind of ran away, and we have the whole plane bit where she goes in the parachute again. That's right out of the games. She's there, she's landing, and a guy comes and one of the bad guys finds her, and she ends up having to kill him. In fact, one of the interesting things of this movie is she never actually fires a gun, which was really interesting. I don't mind that actually. I think it's kind of cool that they just go with the bow and arrow for the whole.
So is that what happens in the game too? Is it's bow and arrow and pickaxe?
Oh no, she has guns as well. You get an arsenal. You start with the bow and arrow because you're hunting. You're hunting animals for food. That's how you sort of learn to use your bow and arrow, and then. But this scene actually plays out kind of like the first time she kills someone in the game. It's with a gun because the guy's like trying to attack her, and she sort of moves the gun and like shoots his head. Here, of course, she just chokes him out because we learn that she's been doing some mixed martial arts, and she chokes the guy out. But the way it kind of plays similar is that she's kind of in shock that she just killed someone. It plays like a big moment, like, holy shit, I just killed someone. So it makes sense she's not just offing hundreds of people throughout the movie. That actually works quite well. So that was kind of cool. I don't mind that. It does make me question the little teaser scene at the end, though, where she gets the guns, because it feels kind of weird. Because when I saw that in the trailer, which, by the way, screw you for putting that in the trailer.
Yeah, I agree.
Secondly... so she spots the guns in the pawn shop with Nick Frost, who's got a little cameo here, and I'm like, okay, first of all, your illegal gun stash, maybe not have that visible to the public, just an idea, right? And she sees the guns and she picks up the gun, and at this point she's got the braided, ponytail, and she grabs the gun. She's like, "Oh, I'll have two," because obviously in the classic games she always had two pistols. That was the thing, right? Because in the first game, mild spoilers for the first game, you've just got the one pistol the whole game, and you've got a shotgun, you've got your various weapons.
So you come across.
But during the final boss, there's a moment where you pick up a second pistol and you actually fire two pistols. You finally, it happens at the end of the game. So I guess they were kind of going for that, but. She's not shot a gun the entire... Why is she even interested? Like, it would make sense to me if she started using guns on the island and she was like, oh, I might need guns in the future. And then she went and said, oh, I'll take two of these. But no, she never touched a gun And all of a sudden she's like, I want two guns
pure
now.
video game fan service there.
It was. It felt like just a cheap fan service moment. It didn't work. Whereas a lot of the other like game moments did work because they worked in the context.
Yeah. And once I saw her show up with the braid, I was like, that doesn't look right, because you've seen her with the one look the whole movie.
Yeah.
You know. And then now suddenly she looks like...
Especially since it's not like the second game had her in a braid, like classic Lara. Yeah. She still had the ponytail. To me, that's what this Lara looks like, is with the ponytail. So it's worth mentioning, by the way, that her outfit and how she looks when she's on the island is identical to the game. They nailed her look. It's perfect. But hey, so after she kills the guy, you see someone in a hood off in the distance, and as soon as I saw that, I went, oh no, please don't do this. Because I knew where it was going. I'm like, please don't do this. Her dad's still alive on the island. He's got a big beard. He's all Oliver Queen or Castaway style. Like he's a little bit crazy, right?
My name's Richard Croft, and I was spent 20 years on this island.
7 years, I believe, is the exact year.
So I know, but.
Yeah. Actually, funny enough, because I mentioned it had been 7 years since he went missing, and by that point we'd had the first flashback, and I'm like, and I thought the flashback we got at the start was him leaving to go on this mission, and I thought,
me too.
There's no way that's her 7 years ago. Don't tell me that's her 7 years ago.
I was like, how old's a little girl? Because is she supposed to be 16? This makes no sense.
Luckily, though, that's just one of his trips. We get another flashback of him leaving later on, and she's more like 15, and it's like, okay, right, this makes more sense. This makes more sense.
Her in the, puts her in the right age range.
But yeah, so in the game, her dad's just already dead, right? In fact, her dad's just dead, and that's fine. Here, he's alive, and I don't just dislike this because it's different from the game. I don't even care that it's different. I just think it was a terrible choice, because I groaned, because it's such the obvious cheap thing that dad's alive in the island the whole time, and because then she's tethered to him the rest of the movie as well. Like after when she goes on and on a little bit to do the stealth thing, and I love that stealth scene. It lasts not long enough, but like that stuff's great, right? But like now he's just there for the rest of the movie. He's tagging along with her, and then like they both get in with the bad guys into the tomb for the the last big act of the movie.
Yeah, he's been there for 7 years, preventing them from getting forward from finding this thing.
Yeah.
So there are parts of it that I did like, but also I'm not tied to that storyline from the video game, So I was like, oh, of course the dad's still around. And then it makes it, when they go to the tomb, it was hitting chords of The Last Crusade to me. So I was okay with it.
I was it felt like this is just a straight up trope that I don't like.
Yeah.
I just don't like it. I just flat out don't like it, and it really bugged me.
I almost wish she would have died before going into the tomb. So we still get that moment with her, and she sees her dad, and she could finally sign off. You know what I mean? Because that's really why she's there, is to not just to find her dad, but to complete his mission, and then she could sign off on his death. And so I liked what that represented. It was like, well, this is why I didn't sign, because you're still alive.
But I think to me, though, it's more interesting if he's actually just dead and it's just about her accepting it. To me, that's much more natural and human.
Oh, yeah.
Whereas this is just pure Hollywood cheese that he's alive on the island. Yeah. So I don't know. I just don't like that at all. Obviously, Walton Goggins is a pretty good actor. He's great as the villain. His character,
but he felt kind of wasted.
Oh, like, he is kind of wasted. But this goes back again to rushing through the island stuff a bit.
Yeah.
Because in the games, I think his character, if I recognise the name correctly, he is in the games, but he's actually like a scientist who goes with Lara on the mission with her friends.
Oh.
And then he turns evil as the story goes on. Because he starts saying... So, yeah.
Oh, I was getting Balak vibes from Raiders.
Oh, right,
he's a tribal archaeologist. But they do it for different reasons. So her dad was like, yeah, I'm trying to preserve these things. He has a sense of history. Versus Goggins, whose character was like, yeah, I'm just doing this for a paycheck.
He's just doing it for a paycheck. He works for this evil company called, was it Treyarch?
Yeah, Trinity.
Trinity.
That was with the group that
I think Treyarch's a video game developer, actually, that I'm thinking about it, but yeah.
But they're part of a larger company, we find out towards the end.
Who are exploring all these ancient tombs because they want to find evil supernatural secrets that they can use to dominate the world.
That's another thing. There's a book series I enjoy by James Rollins called Sigma Force, and this felt like a Sigma Force book. And there's a bad group that want to do the same thing, but there's always some Crichton-esque science magic behind it, kind of like here. So I'm getting Sigma Force vibes from all of this, and he's with this evil company, and I was like, oh, even more like that.
And it's worth mentioning if I'm comparing it to things that are different from the game. So at the end, obviously, we get the stuff of them getting into the tomb, and there's puzzles, and the floor's falling all the way, and she's trying to figure out the puzzles. And I like that there was several puzzle things that she had to get through to get to the actual crypt. So here's actually just one small criticism. So during the floor's falling room, right, and they have to try and figure out which coloured things to put into the door to make it open and stop the floor from falling. Again, it felt very video gamey. That was cool, but at one point Goggins is like yelling at her to like solve it, and all I could think was, wait, if she didn't come with you, you'd all be dead.
Yeah.
Like, how are you planning on getting through this? Like, I don't know. It made him.
Yeah, the fact that he is supposed to be an archaeologist, a rival, and he hasn't figured any of this out.
It made him. It just made him feel like a bit stupid because, like, if you did, because she's only kind of there by chance because she showed up in the island, and then she's only there in the tomb because she made a deal with you so that they wouldn't kill her father. If you didn't bring her, and if you did kill her when you threatened to, like multiple times, then you wouldn't even get through this door.
No. And that was the other thing. So did I just misunderstand that the crypt was meant to keep people in? So like you can get in, but you can't get out. But what was that whole trap with them trying to keep them out? Then.
Well, because I think it works both ways.
Yeah. Oh, I know. I'm just saying that just the point of that was because the one dude stepped on it and then kept walking.
It also kind of made like Richard's whole like mission kind of feel weird because it's like, well, if you just let them go in, they'd all died. Like the bad guys would have all died. They would have never gotten through that room, and nothing bad would have happened.
I think that's just a part of the suspension of disbelief when you do these temple type things, where because Indiana Jones is a lot of the same way. If you just let the dude that you hired go in, set off all the traps, and go in after.
That's true.
You know.
So they get to the tomb, and basically because this is the thing, they're saying, okay, supernatural curse. And there's nothing else supernatural in the movie, so I was like, okay, they're actually going to bring in supernatural elements at the end. Because here's the thing, the game does. The game, towards the end of the game, you're actually fighting supernatural entities towards the end of the game. There's these big samurai kind of, like, monster dudes.
Damn it, I need to play this game. I don't really like video games, but
it goes full-on supernatural towards the end, right? And they're big tough enemies. So I was kind of like expecting it, but at the same time, there was nothing else in the movie leading up to it that made me feel like, will it fit? Will it fit if they start?
Was there stuff in the game that like, you know, ghosts on the island or just in the tomb?
Not ghosts, but like there was just more of a creepy vibe when you were in the tombs that maybe sold you that there was something maybe coming later on. Whereas here, it felt so not that, and then
I was convinced those handmaidens were coming to life. So they get through this tomb. With the falling floor.
It wouldn't have bothered me if they did, though, to be fair. Like,
no, me either. I was getting mummy vibes from it, like the Brendan Fraser version, not the bad Tom Cruise version. But because they have the strap, and then they get to this room where there's 1,000 like of her handmaidens that committed ritualistic suicide, and I was like, oh, okay. Well, when they disturb the corpse, that's all 1,000 of them are coming, and they have to fight them all, and we're getting a cool zombie fight. And then that doesn't happen. I was like, well, then what was the point of that scene? Was that just a red herring? Or...
well, kind of. I mean, it still fits in the context of what happened, because we find out when they actually open the crypt, they find out that, oh no, wait, this wasn't a curse, this was a disease. Like, she was just highly contagious, but she was immune herself, but she was a carrier. And anyone who touched her just dies, and it's like, well, if this gets out, this will wipe out, like, you know, so much of the population, so we have to keep it in here, but... we get, although I mean, to be fair, I guess they kind of do the supernatural fight thing when like the two goons like get infected and they kind of like still wake up and they're kind of like almost angry zombies. Like, so I guess they kind of do it in a way with that, but it's not the same as the game.
It's not really supernatural. It's all biological because that's what Richard figures all
Oh, sure, like, but I mean, it is veering into zombie territory though. So it's whereas. The game, it's like, no, this is like mythical things coming back to life that are coming to fight you.
So then in the game, she was an evil queen, or was this, you know, not?
No, I think she was. Like, honestly, like that part of the plot of the game, I just kind of forget most of. But I think the name of the queen herself though was the same because it sounded familiar when they said it. Yeah. So I think that part was was the same. But so then it becomes like so Richard gets infected. He's like, okay, I'll set off these grenades and blow up the tomb. You try and get out. And Lara's chasing after Walton Goggins. Unfortunately, because she picks up the pickaxe at this point, right?
Yeah.
And it's super exciting. Like, oh yeah, she's got the pickaxe. She's going to like stab someone with it. And she does stab one guy in the leg when she first gets it. Yeah. But when she gets after Walton Goggins at the
bridge.
The bridge. They've made like a makeshift bridge with a ladder. And she just like sort of throws it into the ground and then goes onto the bridge to like mess with them, and they'll take the ladder away and stuff. She doesn't actually get to use it again, really. Although I mean, she uses it to escape. So like when she jumps across the ravine and like she uses it to survive, but she doesn't get to stab him in the head. I really wanted her to stab him in the head or the neck, and it didn't happen.
Oh, I figured she'd use it to try to escape or to assist in the fight, and she leaves it there until the fight's over.
And then she uses it to... I mean, she does use it to escape. She uses it to actually rock climb, which is good, because, that's what it's for. But, yeah, but still, again, that's a minor quibble. I have much bigger quibbles, which I went through. I like
that fight scene, though. It was very, Indiana Jones to me, because Indy's the type of guy that gets his ass kicked, but keeps getting back up. And that's Lara in this,
Oh, absolutely.
Walton Goggins takes it to her, and he outweighs her, and he throws her around. But
that's actually something I liked about the fight scenes with her, actually, is that they did this nice balance where it didn't feel like they were ignoring the fact that she was smaller and should be overpowered, but they always made it like, okay, she's taking a beating, but she always like finds a way to win. Like she
out techniques him.
Yeah.
That's how she gets the guy into the mud, and it's not that she applies a rear naked choke to him. It's a rear naked choke in the mud, and that's how she ends up, suffocating him. And the same with Walton Goggins is that she out techniques him. And I like that, and I've read some reviews that are just like, oh, she's a punching bag, and it's like, well, that's kind of any action hero. Any action hero really takes licks, from John McClane to Indiana Jones. The fact that you can put
and to be fair, that's actually really faithful to the game, because part of the throughout that game, Lara gets the shit beat out of her, if not from people, from falling out of planes, from rolling down rock hills, from over and over. She is she should be like a broken wreck by the end of that story.
Yeah, and I like how we get that, because you see she wears it on her, and that's why Vikander, I think, is so good. Is every experience she has on this island, it does progress with her.
Yeah, it doesn't feel easy. It doesn't feel like she's just walking through things. And I actually kind of like that, and that feels like what this newer version of Lara does feel like. So that fit for me quite a bit. It's just a shame that there's these other things that she's always with a group. It seems to rush, because like she finds her dad. She has a little bit where she's on her own with the stealth, and then immediately it's like, okay, we're going to the tomb with everyone, and we've because that's the thing we've not mentioned. They've got a bunch of slaves, because all the fishermen who have like washed up here or there have been kidnapped, and they've been forced to work for the criminals here, and. Yep. Okay, it's fine. Obviously, we have the fisherman dude that she's kind of befriended who took her here, who's got a bit of his own character. And he's fine, but it wasn't, like, enough. Like that's why I feel like her best friend as well would have been more... Yeah. To give this group of people she's saving stakes, like, have a best friend be in there. But I really felt like once she separated from... And once she escaped the camp the first time, I really felt like, okay, now it's time to have, like, a good half hour of her, like, being on her own and, like, evading the bad guys and finding clues as to what's going on and, all this other stuff. And instead it was, no, Dad's there, and then almost immediately it's time to, like, for the bad guys to be in this position where they can force her to take her in the cave, into the tomb, and, do this stuff, and that's where they kind of wrap everything up. So I feel like the island stuff's too rushed. Even though there's some nice moments that sprinkled throughout in between, like some of the stuff in the tomb, I liked her escape, I liked this puzzle solving, and obviously I like the playing bit, and I like the stealth bit. So there's a lot of stuff on the island I like. It's just a bit rushed, and she's not on her own enough.
Once she activates that trap in the handmaiden's room, that's straight out of a Temple movie, and oh man, I was so excited. And that's the type of stuff I wanted to see, and I got it. So I was like, oh man, I can't believe. Like, this is happening. This is great. So it hit a lot of those where I didn't think it was going to be so traditional.
Were you thinking of the one in the hallway where it's like all the spiked logs?
Yep.
Yeah, and she's ducking and diving, but it's just getting the guys behind her. Yeah, that was pretty good.
Yeah, I like that. Was all good. And again, the director, it's full of tension. And deep down, I know Laura's probably going to be okay because she's the main character.
Oh, of course.
But again, she's so beat up. that she might, take a spike to the leg or something at a point, because she does in what was it, the plane wreck sequence. She ends up with shrapnel in her that she has to remove herself, and it's rough. And then even when her dad's sewing her up.
Yeah, I think it just needed a little bit more First Blood, if that makes any sense. Just a little bit more of her, like Rambo in that First Blood movie, on her own, in the woods.
Dropping people with arrows.
Yeah, dropping with arrows, dealing with her injuries, but with a bit more maybe clue solving, like, finding things that the bad guys have not found yet, and like...
Yeah.
I think that's just all it needed, and the other couple of things I said. And then the dad being alive, like, I hate it, but, like, honestly, that's not my... If you fixed all the other stuff I said, I'd let that go, because it would be perfect in every other way. But that'd be the things I'd fix in this. Yeah. But I like her a lot, and I think there is great moments. I like the character building early on. We should talk about the ending and the very... I don't want to say tacked on, but it does kind of feel out of nowhere, the sequel bit at the end, where it reveals that the friendly, like, the woman who works for who worked for her dad, who's like saying he ain't come and sign the papers. The big twist at the end is that it turns out she's actually part of Trinity. She's funding them, and this is what I was saying. It's spoilers to bring this up, because I don't even remember if she was in the first game. I don't think she was, but she's the villain in the second game.
Oh, okay.
And she's going around with an army, and she's kind of like beating Lara to the punch at these various tombs, and she's like, she's like the proper villain. So basically what they've done is they've set her up in the first one so she can be the villain in the second one. It felt a little bit cheap though, because it felt kind of like there wasn't enough like building up to it. I didn't feel like.
I don't know. See, this might just be because I watched too many of these type of movies. I didn't trust her from the start.
Oh, I didn't trust her either.
There's just something about her. I was just like, she's very eager to have you sign these papers. And at first I thought it was her stepmom or something, just with the way that they were talking. But
I guess ultimately it's just the way it's revealed, and it just feels like a really easy cliched scene rather than something that was really engrossing. And I kind of feel like, okay, you're ending this movie on the story's not done yet, like really, really sequel baiting to the point where no, the true villain, we've not even got to them yet. And the problem with that is I immediately went, but is this even going to get a sequel? And then I see the opening weekend numbers, and I'm like, well, probably not, which is a shame, because I do think this could genuinely improve with a sequel. I really do think there's potential with that. But so that's the big thing, and we see her like going to the secret. Because her dad's got like a full-on like Batcave-esque entrance. Yeah. If you go into the family crypt outside the mansion, there's like a key, and then the crypt opens up, and you get like a secret office with all his research. But like we said though, there's that little post scene after the title where it says Tomb Raider. We get the going back to the pawn shop and getting the guns from Nick Frost. And again, the scenes with him are kind of funny. Like I say, she's very likeable. She cracks some jokes.
That scene with him at first in the pawn shop, where she's trying to get money to go on this trip. She doesn't want to take any of the dad's money, and then she tells him this. Well, this was my mom's, and I'm looking for my dad. And he starts deducting the money because, like, oh, I've heard all this before. You're gonna drop that sob story. It was very Nick Frost. And I enjoyed that.
Yeah, I even like when his wife comes out, it's like, are you flirting? It's like, I wasn't flirting. And he's like, I was flirting.
Well, I'm just very charismatic.
Yeah.
I love Nick Frost. I want him in more things.
Yeah. And I assume he's a fan of the games, because I know he likes playing games, so I'm assuming he's a fan, and that's why he ended up in this. But
well, because it's a small enough role that you could be like, hey, you got a role for me in this?
It's a day, maybe two at most.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So it was good. I really enjoyed this. I enjoyed it more than I thought I was, because again, the trilogy movies I didn't really like, and I haven't played the games in forever. I don't think I played a Tomb Raider since Tomb Raider 2 for the original PlayStation. So it's been a long time. I was familiar enough with the character, but yeah, I'm glad I liked it so much.
I would recommend playing the games. I think you would enjoy. I think if you get a PS4, I think your 2 Tomb Raiders, and there's a third one being announced soon. So you have a Tomb Raider trilogy. You can get the 4 Uncharted games,
I know,
which are the even better version of Tomb Raider, quite frankly.
That's all I really need, though. I only need those games, and I'll be set, because I don't need I know you want me to play Last of Us, but I don't need
Well,
that. I need
the thing with Last of Us though is if you play all the Uncharted and you like them a lot, the same people made Last of Us, so you'll like
right.
how they do the stories.
Yeah,
But no, I honestly, right there, that's 7 games you can play. Technically 8 because they had that extra sort of additional Uncharted standalone thing.
Yeah.
They did after 4. So honestly, I think that's enough to justify purchasing a console, Matt. At that point.
I know. I'm working on the wife right now. And then my friend that went with us was like, "Yeah, get him a PlayStation." It's like, "Well, you could buy it for him." And my friend goes, "Oh no, you're not getting a PlayStation." I was like, "Damn, I thought it was close." But we'll see. Well, we'll see where it goes. After you get new glasses, and then we'll see.
Yeah, you should. I think those would tickle your fancy.
Well, I definitely want more Lara Croft, Vikander or no Vikander. I definitely, my Indiana Jones leanings, as they are. These are stuff that's meant.
Yeah,
right
because obviously the new version of the game that came out in 2013 that this movie's based on was heavily influenced by Uncharted. They were clearly trying to make an Uncharted style game with Lara Croft. Uncharted's got a much better story. Maybe not the first one, but Uncharted 2, 3, and 4, Jesus, the writing is so good in those games. Like, I love to the point where I don't think we need a movie, because, no, the story's already good. Yeah, it's already so good.
Well, I almost feel like that's why those have fallen apart so many times. Like, we keep hearing, like, so-and-so's attached, and then it falls out. Like, Wahlberg's attached at one point, and he falls out. There's got to be something to that. Versus here, this is the third movie, and, the first reboot. So, well, and I hope we get a sequel. But after you pointed out I talked to you after I saw it. I was like, "Yeah, man, I want a sequel right now." And you're like, "Don't look at the box office."
Yeah, I think I think the estimate's around 22 million, which is like even double that. I don't think would be optimistic for a sequel.
No. You want to open with at least 3 digits. Or at least close to 3 digits.
I don't think it would need to. I think 60 to 70 opening weekend's fine. Because this is not a super high budget movie, but it is obviously high budget. But I think 22 is just death, unless it does insanely well, like internationally everywhere else. Yeah. I think 22 opening weekend's pretty much dead on arrival, which is a shame. Because I do think there's genuine room for it to have improvement, because I like the character and the actor so much that I think it could be great with a second movie, but hey ho, that's where we are. It's definitely better than the original Angelina Jolie one, I'll say that much. That's easy. Yeah. Easy peasy. So I guess with that we'll get to ratings. If you want to rate it out of 10, Matt.
Yeah, it's a solid 7.5 for me. Really enjoyed it.
I can't quite go as high as that. I have too many criticisms. I think I have to go with a straight 6. But let it be known what I like about it. I like a lot, and I think there's a lot of potential. And I do think, as much, I almost feel like it sounds kind of funny that I'm saying, "Oh, just fix these like 5 things and it would be great." But that's kind of the point, though. Usually when I hate a movie, it's not just 5 things you have to fix. You have to completely rework it from the ground up. With this, I can actually just alter these few things and a little bit more of this. A little bit more of this, take away the whole dad thing, done. Right? Movie's great.
Yeah.
So it's really frustrating in that sense, but I really like her as Lara Croft. Some of the action moments are really good. Character's really likable. So yeah, 6 out of 10 is where I'm landing.
That's fair.
So worth seeing, and maybe having your opinion yourself. But honestly, it probably is the best video game adaptation.
As of right now, yeah.
I think Mortal Kombat might be more fun for cheese factor, arguably. Yeah, but
for me, it's hard to untie that from my childhood watching that movie and being so excited for it.
That's got the sort of, it's not a good movie, Mortal Kombat, but it's cheesy fun, and I think a lot of us, certainly at our age, have a good nostalgia for it. I think, though, from a technical standpoint, from a writing standpoint, and from a objective viewpoint, this is the better film. So this is the better video game adaptation. It's actually more, I mean, admittedly, I don't think the early Mortal Kombat games had much plot to adapt, but this is definitely the most faithful video game adaptation, I think. So
yeah, I mean, it adapts that game, because once I started looking up, I was surprised with how on point it was. But I don't know if you're excited. In a couple weeks, we have Rampage, and that could be the best video game movie, judging from the trailers.
We'll see. we'll see that.
Talk about games that don't have a story. You
Yeah.
know.
Well, that's almost easier though, because it's a blank slate.
Yeah.
You just need to have the monsters, and then you can just go do whatever the hell you want.
I
So.
looked up, we got that trailer with this one. I looked up my wife. She goes, "You're seeing it by yourself." But The Rock and a giant gorilla. Come on.
Oh
No.
dear.
Okay.
Okay. Well, I guess that wraps us up then
Yeah.
for this review. We actually have quite a lot of reviews coming up, because sometimes we'll obviously go weeks without one because there's no movies out that we're both seeing. But we have quite a busy schedule for the next month or so. So look forward to some more movies coming out. But yeah, so like, subscribe, let us know what you thought of this movie in the comments. If you want to get us on Twitter at mailed_fuzz for channel updates. If you want to support the channel, head over to patreon.com/mailedfuzztv. You can get a link in the description. Obviously there's like voting rights for some of the movies, such as 121 Overload, in which me and Matt pick a movie we each love, and our patrons vote for which one we'll do in the following Overload. What was your pick for this month, Matt?
Easy A.
Easy A. It means was The Burbs. That's the two that are head to head right now.
It's really a win-win.
Yeah. So, well, yeah. There's been very few things you've picked that it's not a win-win for me. Whereas some of the stuff I've picked, you just like, oh, you'll hate that. But hey, what is one going to do? So that's the thing you can check out. But otherwise, that is us. So thank you once again for watching or listening. We always appreciate it. Keep watching movies, guys, and we'll see you next time.